There's a notebook hidden in this train, between the seat and the wall. C12, row C. Last car. Inside are confessions, hundreds of them, written over a century, all starting the same way. I told a stranger tonight. I told a stranger tonight that I killed a man. He listened. I survived. I told a stranger I betrayed my husband. She didn't judge. I went home. I told a stranger I didn't want my child. He said he felt the same once. I told a stranger what I couldn't tell my therapist. It was enough. A century of secrets, spoken in darkness, to people who would never be seen again. And tonight, someone else will sit in that seat. We'll find that notebook. We'll understand what this place is. We'll turn to a stranger and speak the truth they can't say to anyone who knows their name. This is the story of the night train where confession became possible, and the strangers who listened without judging. This train has run the same route for over 100 years. Departure at 11 at night, arrival at 5 in the morning. 6 hours in darkness, through empty countryside, between two cities that never sleep. During the day, there are express trains, fast, crowded, efficient. But at night, there's only one train, slow, half empty, moving through the dark like a confession moving through silence. The last car is always the quietest. Fewer passengers, dim lights, the rhythm of wheels on tracks. And seat 12, row C by the window, has become something else entirely. Conductors know about it, have known for decades. They see people sit there tense, frightened, carrying something heavy, and they see them leave lighter, chained, relieved. Nobody knows exactly why. Nobody planned it. It just became true. Over time, through repetition, through 100 years of strangers speaking truth to strangers. The first confession anyone remembers happened in the 20s, just after the Great War. A man boarded the night train, late, almost missed it, threw himself into the last car, collapsed into the first empty seat, C12, row C, sat there breathing hard, sweating despite the cold. Next to him, another passenger, middle-aged, reading a newspaper by the dim overhead light. They didn't speak at first. Strangers don't. Not immediately. The train moved through darkness, towns passing, lights flickering. Then the veterans started talking. Not to the man. Not really. Just talking. Into the darkness. I killed someone. The man with the newspaper didn't move. Didn't look up. Just listened. After the war ended. Not during. After. When we were supposed to stop. The veteran kept talking. Told the whole story. The village. The mistake. The man who wasn't a soldier. The shot that couldn't be taken back. Talked for an hour. Maybe more. The man with the newspaper never interrupted. Never asked questions. Never judged. Just listened. At the next station, the veteran stood up. Looked at the stranger. Thank you. The man nodded. Went back to his newspaper. They never saw each other again. But something had happened. Something that would repeat itself. For a century. During the war, a woman took the night train. Her husband had been at the front for 3 years. She'd been alone, terrified, waiting, and she'd been weak. Just once, with a neighbor. A moment of comfort that became betrayal. Her husband came home, a hero, loving, trusting, whole, and she couldn't tell him, couldn't destroy what they had, couldn't unburden herself at his expense, but she couldn't carry it alone anymore either. She took the night train, sat in seat 12, row C. Next to her, another woman, older, knitting something. The train moved. The darkness held them, and she started talking. I betrayed my husband, told everything. The loneliness, the fear, the weakness, the guilt that was eating her alive. The older woman kept knitting, didn't look at her, just listened. When the confession ended, when there were no more words, the woman with the knitting spoke. He doesn't need to know, but you needed to say it. Simple, true. Permission to be human. The woman went home, never told her husband, lived with him happily until he died decades later. But she never forgot the stranger on the train, the woman who listened without destroying her. In the 60s, a man took the night train. His wife was pregnant. Everyone was celebrating. He was smiling, playing the part. But inside, he was drowning. He didn't want to be a father. Didn't feel ready. Didn't feel capable. Felt trapped. And he couldn't say it. Not to his wife. Not to his friends. Not to anyone who knew him. What kind of man doesn't want his own child? He sat in seat 12, stared out the window at nothing. Next to him, an older man, gray hair, weathered face. The train moved through darkness, and the young man started talking. I'm going to be a father, and I don't want to be. Said it all. The fear, the resentment, the shame, the terrible certainty that he would fail, that he would ruin this child's life. The old man listened, didn't move, didn't react. When the words ran out, he spoke. I felt the same. 40 years ago, the young man looked at him. Chuck, what happened? I loved him anyway. Not immediately, but eventually. Being a father wasn't natural for me. But I learned. Did you tell him? Your son. No. Some truths don't need to be shared. But you needed to say it. To someone. The young man went home. Had his daughter. Struggled. Learned. Loved her. Never forgot the stranger who gave him permission to be afraid. In the 80s, a girl barely 17 took the night train. She'd had an abortion. Alone. Didn't tell her parents. Didn't tell her boyfriend. Didn't tell anyone. Just did it. Because she had to. Because she couldn't. And now she was breaking. Silently. Completely. She sat in seat 12, crying quietly into her sleeve. Next to her, a woman. 40s. Kainos. The train moved. The girl couldn't stop. Couldn't hold it. I killed my baby. Whispered it. Barely audible. I didn't want to, but I did. And I can't tell anyone. The woman didn't speak immediately. Just reached over. Held the girl's hand. Let her cry. Then quietly, you made a choice. A hard choice. You're allowed to grieve it. The girl sobbed the entire journey. The woman stayed. Held her hand. Didn't leave. At dawn, at the station, the girl got off. Turned back. The woman was still there, nodded, a small gesture, acknowledgement, witness. The girl never forgot, never stopped grieving, but never felt alone in it again. In the 2000, a successful businessman took the night train. He'd stolen money, a lot, from his company, from people who trusted him. Nobody knew yet, but they would. The investigation was starting. The walls were closing in. He could run, disappear, start over somewhere else, or he could face it. He didn't know, couldn't decide. So he got on the train, sat in seat 12, hand shaking. Next to him, a college student. Headphones, laptop. The train moved. The businessman started talking. Needed to. Had to say it out loud. I stole from people who trusted me. The kid looked up, took off his headphones, listened. The businessman told everything. The amounts, the reasons, the justifications that sounded hollow even as he said them. When he finished, the kid was quiet for a long time. Then, are you going to turn yourself in? I don't know. Will it eat you alive if you don't? Silence. Then, yes. The kid nodded, put his headphones back on. The businessman got off at the next stop, went back to the city, turned himself in, served time, lost everything, started over. But he could sleep at night. A mother took the night train. She had 2 children. Loved them. Of course she loved them. But she regretted having them. Regretted the life she'd given up. The career. The freedom. The version of herself that died when they were born. And she hated herself for feeling this. Felt like a monster. Couldn't tell her husband, her friends, her therapist. How do you say you regret your children? She sat in seat 12, late night, nearly empty car. Next to her, an elderly woman, reading. The train moved. The mother whispered it, barely audible. I regret having children. The old woman looked up, not shocked, not judging, just listening. The mother kept going. All of it. The resentment, the loss, the love mixed with grief for herself. The old woman nodded slowly. I felt this too. 4 years. It doesn't make you a monster. It makes you honest. The mother cried. Relief. Permission. Understanding. Does it get better? It gets different. You learn to hold both. The love and the loss. The mother went home. Still felt the same, but no longer alone in it. A doctor took the night train after his shift. He'd made a mistake. A patient died. The investigation cleared him. Unavoidable. Complications. Not his fault. But he knew what he could have done differently. What he should have seen. He couldn't sleep. couldn't eat, couldn't function. Sat in seat 12, empty car, middle of the night. Next to him, a nurse. He recognized the hospital scrubs. Started talking without meaning to. I killed someone. She looked at him. Didn't interrupt. He told her everything. The case, the moment, the realization that came too late. She listened, then spoke quietly. You're human. Humans make mistakes. He's dead because of me. He's dead. That's true. But you didn't murder him. You failed him. There's a difference. Not absolution. Not forgiveness. Just distinction. Just truth. The doctor went back. Didn't quit. Kept working. Carried it. But could breathe again. Over the decades, conductors and staff noticed. That seat. That place. People would sit there and talk. To strangers. About things you don't say out loud. Nobody knew why. Nobody could explain it. Just happened. Elena worked as a conductor for 30 years. Saw it constantly. People boarding nervous. Sitting in that seat. Talking to whoever was next to them. Getting off lighter. She never interrupted. Never asked. Just let it happen. Once, she tried moving someone from that seat. It was reserved, she said. Allah. The person looked devastated. Please, I need to sit here. Elena let them. Some things you don't interfere with. The train knew what it was doing. The seat knew its purpose. 2024. A young man boards the night train. Late. Exhausted. Carrying something heavy that isn't physical. Sits in seat 12. By the window. Last car. Next to him, the seat is empty. 4 now. The train pulls out. Moving through darkness. City lights fading. He stares out the window. Sees his reflection in the glass. Doesn't recognize himself lately. Drops his phone. Leans down to get it. Sees something wedged between the seat and the wall. A notebook. Old. Worn leather cover. Pulls it out. Opens it. The first entry is in faded ink. Nearly illegible. I told a stranger tonight that I killed a man during the war. He listened without horror. I got off at the next stop. I survived the night. 1924. The young man turns the page. Another entry. Different handwriting. I told a stranger I betrayed my husband. She told me he didn't need to know. But I needed to say it. 1946. He keeps reading. I told a stranger I didn't want to be a father. He said he felt the same once. 1968. I told a stranger I regretted having children. She said it didn't make me a monster. 2007. I told a stranger I made a medical mistake that killed someone. He said I was human. 2020, page after page, decade after decade, all different confessions, all the same place, all to strangers who listened. The last entry is recent. 2 days ago, I told a stranger tonight that I wanted to die. She stayed with me the whole ride, asked me to promise to call someone when I got off. I did. I'm still here. 2024. The young man closes the notebook. Hand shaking, looks around the car. Nearly empty. Just a few passengers scattered. Someone sits down next to him. A woman, middle-aged, tired. They don't acknowledge each other. Just strangers sharing space. The train moves. The darkness outside is complete now. The young man holds the notebook, feels its weight, understands what it means, turns to the woman. I need to tell you something. She looks at him, doesn't speak, just waits, and he starts talking. He tells her everything. The thing he can't tell his family, his friends, his therapist, the truth that's eating him alive. She listens, doesn't interrupt, doesn't offer solutions, doesn't judge, just listens. The way strangers have listened on this train for 100 years. When he's done, when there are no more words, she speaks. Not to fix him, not to absolve him, just to witness. Thank you for telling me, that's all. But it's enough. The train arrives at dawn, 5 in the morning. The station mostly empty. The young man gets off, lighter, not healed, but heard. Before leaving, he opens the notebook, takes out a pen, writes, I told a stranger tonight what I couldn't tell anyone who knows my name. She listened without trying to fix me. It was exactly what I needed. 2024. Closes the notebook. Slides it back between the seat and the wall. For the next person. The next confession. The next stranger. Walks out into the early morning. Still carrying his burden, but no longer alone with it. The train empties, cleans, prepares for the day routes. Seat 12, row C waits, the notebook hidden, the window reflecting nothing in daylight. But tonight the train will run again, and someone else will sit there. We'll need to confess. We'll find a stranger who listens. The train knows. The seat remembers. The notebook keeps count of all the secrets spoken in darkness, all the strangers who witnessed without judging, all the confessions that could only happen here, in a night train, in the last car, in a seat by the window, where the darkness outside mirrors the darkness inside, and where strangers, just for 6 hours, become the confessors we all need. The train still runs, every night, same route, same 6 hours, same darkness. And C12, row C, still waits. For the next person who can't tell their truth to anyone who knows them. For the next stranger willing to listen without fixing. For the next confession that saved a life. The train knows. It's always known. Some truths can only be spoken in the dark, to people you'll never see again. That's not weakness. That's survival. And this train has carried that truth for a century, one confession at a time. E&D.